Can you believe it? I just did this live and I hit the discard button. So I'm going to nail it. Very short amount of time. Consider those of you, fear, courage, quantity. You're doing a lot in an area where you probably could be doing less. Are you operating from a space of fear? Likely the majority of human beings are, and also that fear is consistently being pricked. It's being primed. There are things that are helping to create a more sensitive vibration within us, and also at the same time engage us in a way that makes us numb. So I want you to consider and think about producing. Think about where you may be doing a lot and where that multitude of activities, be it going to so many gatherings or sitting with medicines a little more than you might need to, or not doing a lot of nothing, okay? Also, and not being able to be productive and not being able to add to the value and the quality of your life. Maybe you're engaging with a lot of people, but you feel drained. Might be a time to honor yourself and to do less. Maybe you've spread yourself out, in the attempt to make so much more money, to date so many different women, to have all these experiences. Where is it coming from? Where is it coming from? Is any aspect of any of the activities that you can pause and think about that you're doing on a daily basis, a weekly basis, coming from a place of scarcity, of fear, of lack, of fear of missing out? Do you want to really go to a place because you're so scared that you're going to miss out? Or would you like to engage with people and come and show up knowing that this is something that's quality that I need to experience, that I'm feeling called to and I'm open to it? And where I'm at right now in this very moment is exactly where I need to be. There may be areas in your life where, hey, you have dynamics at play, relationship dynamics, right? And it doesn't feel fulfilling. And it could be going in multiple directions. Why not decrease the number of interactions that you're having with many different people and identify who are the people who really breathe life into you? What are the activities that are really helping you, having prioritized and understood or looked into your core values, your core needs, identifying, again, your golden thread, which is an area in your life that is consistent, that brings you joy, that also helps you to understand what you're experiencing here, and take those things and then align your activities to work and to coalesce with that. What happens when you do this, and I'm speaking from experience, and this is the work that I help men to do, then things start to be simplified, right? Then you get to collapse things. I use intimacy. I'm also able to use the work that I did in my previous profession to take on different informations, but because I see how they tie together, then I'm able to kind of see the overall concept and then collapse that into something that I can distill. So I'm doing it here with you guys and gals. This is for the men of mentorship. Consider this, all right, what I'm sharing. Where are you doing a lot where you could be doing less? And what does that look like? How can you leverage? We hear this a lot. I'm not, money man per se, but I could be. All right. How do you leverage your actions? What we've been told in some instances is to identify your 3 top priorities. What is a priority for you? 3 top. What are the priorities that when you work on one, maybe you're able to fulfill some of those things? A lot of times fellows think, okay, I go out, get the house, make the money, then I get all the things that I want. Remember Scarface? I want you to think of it from another angle too. What fulfills you? What's aligned? What do you have the ability to sustain yourself by doing, and what can you do for a long period of time? And then you start to build a certain skill set. I can consistently surf every day, but I learned something in the ocean. So that also fulfills a space of prayer, of devotion, of consistency, of intention. I receive, it's meditative for me, and it also takes care of exercise. So it's one activity, but it's multiple. I even get to practice some Tai Chi in the way that I move my body and cultivate and move my energy, and Qigong in the water. So what things, versus me doing that, going to the gym, cycling, doing the weights, jogging all over town, and sometimes I have the energy to do all those things, but it's more expedient, right? So how can you add more expedience to your life and expedience to your experience, and in the process, identify things that really give value to you in quality over quantity, with your dating, with the people that you engage in, with the nature of your relationship, and ultimately the activities that you engage in. Is it quality? What things are you, in the abundance experiencing that maybe you don't need. Maybe you're holding on to a lot of material things that are actually holding on to you. So this is where things start to shift. There's not a lot, that I need to have, although I have amassed some things. At least 4 different times in my life, I've amassed a lot and given it all away and gone through the journey of getting rid of certain things, however that circumstance came, but then also got to experience the freedom. And so it does take courage to identify, to look at these things, to speak to what's not in alignment for you, and then to begin to reduce. But reducing also opens up more space to increase. All right? Let's talk about 5 things that are important. I have a number of books that I've gone through in my journey, especially in helping people in relationship, that speak to psychology, and they talk to relational dynamics, and they analyze things, and they also speak to the new age information about consciousness. And there's older books that I've looked into, but to distill it into some smaller bits of information that are helpful is a benefit. Why? Because people also aren't, we got AI right now, and so they're just getting the book summary, which is fine. And we're bombarded with so much information. But what's the critical info? Critical info for you today, for you men who are dating or even in relationship. I want you to consider, if you're already in a relationship, the dynamics at play right now, based on these 5 things that I'm going to read to you. And also, if you're thinking about getting in a relationship, fellas, if you've broken up with someone, I want you to consider these things and how they came into play in your relationships in your past. And even if there's somebody that's caught your eye, a little twinkle for you, consider this before you engage or in your process, and look into these things. And then really, if I could backtrack, first and foremost, apply this to yourself. Ask where you fall in these spaces. Because ultimately, there is a level of responsibility as you mature as a man that you start to walk with. You start to ask, if you really care about folks, well, how's this going to look to her family, right? The person's family that you care about, the extension of them. Not should I get with them because of their family, but how can I treat a person better as an extension of myself? And so the best thing is to exercise some preconceived ideas, to look at your ideals and to see if they create a beneficial and productive experience for not only yourself, not only the person you're dating, but even the people attached to them. I'm saying don't make them miserable. Don't be a terrorist, right? Ready? You ready for some of these goodies? Sherry, how you doing? Here, I'm going to read 5 things, and I want you to consider this, whether you've already decided to engage in a new relationship, to consider past relationship, and I have also utilized these in the Soul Deep Intimacy sessions. And, come on. Are you ready? Here's one. Think about this, all right? Physical availability. What does that mean? Most people think physical availability is this person in the same area as me? Are they willing to come spend time with me? Yeah, that's one aspect of it, but really consider this. Is that person in a relationship with someone else? Are they navigating a relationship with themselves that takes up too much time for them to connect with you and to really be present with you? Are they in a relationship with someone else? If they are, if they're still navigating, if they're still in love, you can ask these questions and be honest with yourself before engaging deeper with the person. I'm going to read 5 things. If 2 of these things show up, then you want to slow down and create space to receive. The next one is financial viability. Now, of course, women typically look at this. Men do too, right? How is this person caring for themselves? You should ask, what activities are they doing? How are they receiving their money and their income? If you're going to be in a relationship with someone, it's nice to be honest with them, right? Is the man you're dating a drug dealer? Is he a legal drug dealer for the FDA? You know what I'm saying? Is he working for another, company or entity, and does the work that they do create a good dynamic for you? Is it something that you're okay with inside? Or is it something that's going to create conflict? You look at these things before you engage in the relationship. You find out more about a person before you engage physically, because once you've done that, we open the door for disappointment. If, you haven't come to saying, I accept these things about that person and I can move forward. There's always more you're going to learn. Do as much as you can in the beginning. 5 things. The first one, again, physical availability. And this is, are they available? Are they not in a relationship with someone else? Are they still mentally somewhere else? Or can they be present with you? So we know how good it feels to have a man or woman present with you. The next one, again, I said was financial viability. Here's the third one, emotionally available. Now, emotionally available doesn't just mean, can they be present with you in this moment to move further? Emotional availability is speaking to, do they have the capacity to foresee, to look, and to open up even deeper for the unknown that may arise in the relationship? This is a big one that women ask of men, for sure. And men actually desire this of women too, right? We want to know that we can show who we are. We want to get to know you. And the opportunity in a relationship is always expansion. You may contract, but are they going to be there? And do they have capacity to witness the contraction and to show themselves sturdy or robust enough to move through it without falling to pieces, and then allow you to move further in the exploration and also in the sharing of who you are? Carnal knowledge, it's a knowledge of someone, which can become wisdom, and this opens the door for a beautiful collaboration in relationship. The next one, all right, so we got physical availability, okay, financial viability. Are they able to support themselves? Because also you may end up having to support them. Are they going to disclose their debts? You're going to disclose your debts? I'm speaking to honesty. And the more questions that you're able to ask ahead of time, the more you have the opportunity, to come into something with deeper awareness and really create a better dynamic that's built on solid ground. And honesty is the best solid ground. Even though it may rub someone the wrong way, you get to rub them the right way afterwards, and it's going to feel much better because you can trust them. The next one is, and this is actually more difficult nowadays than one might think, no active addictions. Well, good luck, right? No active addictions. What do people think when you think addiction? Are they on heroin? Are they going overboard? Is fentanyl going to sneak its way into the relationship? Are they overdoing what? Even in psychedelic community, we speak to, hey, these medicines aren't addictive, but come on now. If you have an addictive personality and you like pleasure and you're experiencing otherworldly pleasure, you do need to be mindful, because what happens is you may still overtax the body. And if you've had an experience and you've drained certain chemicals from the body, it's going to take more, even in the medicines. Iboga is known for not being addictive, and it's a hellacious, for some people, experience. And so that one has its own reputation. And I don't believe I've heard that ayahuasca is addictive, but I do see people navigating with a lot of the medicines, and it becomes the go-to. I'm stuck and I need a boost. This is from someone who holds space with the medicines, but I also hold space with common sense. I do work before with the person to identify some of the things that are going on, and then there's the after work. I don't serve a person if they won't commit to proper integration. And lo and behold, many people don't know that integration may involve replenishing the body. And so, okay, no active addictions. Most of us are addicted to attention. We could be addicted to different dynamics. We can be addicted to sugar in our foods. There's still the alcohol addiction. There is the sexual pleasure addiction in the tantric community. There are some ways, some behaviors that actually aren't helping people to grow, but it's still giving them that opportunity for experience. Anastasia, how are you doing? I'm speaking of 5 things that are important in relationship, for sure, that you definitely want to use before engaging with someone, that you can use to really get an insight of where you stand for a foundation, and, you can use to reflect on and really identify the lessons that you've learned in the previous relationship. And you just got to shift 1 or 2 of these. But if 2 of them show up, then it's definitely a call to slow down. And even if 1 of them shows up and you're really meticulous, slow it down, because you can address these things. The first one I spoke to was physical availability, and it wasn't just as the person next to you, but are they in a relationship mentally, spiritually, or by name with another person? A lot of us have engaged in a relationship with someone who's still tied to another person, and there's that pressure to get what you want. And how does that work out? Sometimes it has worked out in that you were able to move forward with the person, but in the back of someone's mind is, will this happen to me? So why not create a circumstance for things to move forward in an aligned way? That's physical availability. Financial viability, emotional availability as well. The financial viability is where are they at with their finances? Hey, look, not everyone's expecting the same thing if they're in a transition, but are they willing to be honest with you? What do you feel that you would like to give in relationship? What is it that you'd like to receive? What is it that that person's available to give? Are they at least sustaining themselves? Sometimes, especially in these transitional communities, there's a pressure on people to be somewhere where they're not. I'm a little bit old school. If I'm not there yet, I'm gonna tell you, hey, I'm not there yet. And also, I'm willing to forego doing the thing so that I can slowly cultivate and build something strong. All right, and it's its own reward. It's practice. The emotional availability is more not just can they be present with you now, but do they actually have capacity? Think of this, all right? Are they actually interested in union? You might get together with someone who's real beautiful. You might create fun times, but you start to feel an emptiness. You feel like there's a place that you want to go. Be honest with yourself. Have the dialogue with them. See if they can meet you in that reality. Can we go here? Can they hold? Women, it's important for you to really assess because you're going to oscillate. If you haven't had children yet, the postpartum is something that men need to be educated on and supported through as well, because you're going to shift a lot of ways. It might be, they might think, oh, a lot of men think there's no end to this, and then things shift. And so to help them through the trauma of support and truth, depending on how the postpartum works for you, but also for them to have support in expanding their mind and expanding their ability to hold space for the shifts that are going on with you, that have you've changed your body, your mind is different, your relationships to people are different, you have some little being that was inside of you, now it's outside of you, etc. So there's a lot of things that could take up to 2 years minimum. And what if you had another child during that time? So there's a lot of consideration that's important and that adds to emotional availability. The fourth one is no active addictions. And I say, better find out, okay? Because that's a lot of pressure on a relationship. Some of you have experience. I've had a lot of experience in navigating with partners who've had addiction issues. I've been able to help some of them through. Some of them have relapsed and gone back and, or they're functioning, quote unquote functioning, something, with, not to put them on blast, but you're really not functioning if you're dealing with an addiction. And also, the majority of human beings are transitioning and continual addicts to something, whether it's Netflix, you're addicted to ingesting through the eyes. You can't have silent time. You've always got to have something playing in the background. You're being bombarded with so much sound and craziness. You've got to always be, we're addicted. We have that in our nature because we need to soothe. And so look at the ways that people are soothing and identify if that thing that's going on is aligned, if that's something that you can support as a partner. I'm not saying you have to dump a person, but it's going to create difficulty. Also, are they open? Are they receptive? Are they able to move with you? Because you're going to be sharing an insight that will help them through a delusion. And ultimately, the issue with addiction is it erodes the machinery. When you erode the machinery, you make it more difficult for the consciousness to move through the body and do things. And so in the beginning of an addiction, as we've seen, I definitely see, because I work with people with addiction, man, okay, it's fun, it feels good, but then they start, having a larger, they're going to need more to get that same feeling that they're chasing after. And also, this definitely creates delusion in how they interact with people and an unwillingness to accept and to see clearly. And it creates a lot of trouble because then you can be in a space of being gaslit in the relationship. The last thing that I'll speak to, right? Congruent values and ethics. Does that mean anything to you? Think about it. If it doesn't mean anything to you, then, maybe you want a partner that it doesn't mean anything to them. Because really what matters in the harmony is we have the ability now to get together and to be complementary with each other, which is the truth. Or we can begin to view each other as opposites. And some people have, and many of you have had the experience of being in really manipulative relationships where you had a set of ethics and you thought, hey man, this can work. And then really at the end of the day, if you really reflect and look at it, you look at things, you were raised differently than the person that you were in relationship with. And part of your raising, your rearing, or your just life experience, and maybe part of the general makeup of who you are, entails you having different values. So now you're clashing with your values, different ethics, meaning maybe there's some things that you would never do that this person's down to do on the drop of a dime and feels nothing about it. So it's not about right or wrong, but it is about creating a dynamic that can work for you. And so these are 5 things blown out and explained. I want the brothers of Mantorship, I'm going to tag you, Mantorship Global, so you guys can utilize this as like a mini workshop and consider these things, because the men aren't being guided to ask innumerable questions about the person that they're going to navigate with, regardless of their sexual orientation. It's important. We have the capacity to think far beyond and to handle that, and then to create a beautiful life for all the people attached to us by being constructive, by being serious, by building robustness, all right? And then holding a vision and holding the space and cultivating container to witness, to enjoy, to give. What are you able to give? Thank you for giving me your attention. I did a live before, and I pressed the discard button. But this one I think is very similar, more to the point, and I trust that it will be beneficial for you. I got a ton of topics that I want to speak to, and I'm putting these out there and inviting the men in the other men's group to speak to these things. A lot of times we get together and there's not enough time, and we're so worried about betrayal and speaking to the differences in our, different life areas, whether it be our politics, our religion, or the way that we've been educated, the type of entertainment that we like, our orientations. And so for Manbodiment, it's very important for me to create the space even for the men of Mantorship to be able to voice some of the different aspects of who they are, right? We have the order, we have this graduated step, and then also to be able to go deep, and because we can speak to what we perceive as differences with the intention of understanding one another, of supporting and navigating and really identifying our commonalities, and then also having some space for everyone's preference and how they want to navigate. And this gives you the opportunity to identify, are these the guys that I want to roll with or not? Can I be heard? Am I the only one thinking about feeling these things? Who else can I talk to? Bring that shit over here. All right? Twice a month we'll meet. And then also basically once a week we meet with Mantorship, and there's online gatherings as well. And so how can you shorten it? Identify the things of value. Leverage. What are your priorities? Your priorities. Men, what are your priorities? It's very important that you identify that. Your principles. Align those principles to things that are beneficial for you. Put your mask on first, okay? And guess what? You can also have it be beneficial for the people around you, especially if it's beneficial for you and you're with someone who's got aligned values and who respects your principles, because you're able to communicate that to them and they go, oh man, I like these principles, they're mine too. Then it's easy when you're working together. Those 5 things that I mentioned, talking from experience. If you can nip those in the bud and have that communication before you engage in sexual connections, before you create the entanglement of physicality and spirituality, before you pour the juices in the cauldron of what you guys want to be, I swear, I promise you, you'll have something that's standing on a better foundation. Don't you want that? Deep down you do. Why? Because it's healing, because it feels good, and men also want to relax. So men, you help to create the container that's going to also allow ease for you. And then you seek out the other men who have a good intention and can share the wisdom and apply the wisdom. Apply it. You'll be grateful. That's it. Again, the topic was Anastasia, and I'm open to anyone who wants to share other tips that come to mind, and also any insights on the things that I've shared. All right? Be courageous. Identify the priorities. Don't be driven by all of your fears, but meet your fears. Have a conversation with them. The courage comes from being willing to look at and admit your fears. It's okay to be afraid, men. It's okay to feel like, hey, I've got all these things that I need to do in this way that I've called myself into being, and I don't know how to get there. But in admitting it and making the decision to cultivate the courage with support, and by taking steps, you can course correct and you can build something really sturdy. And I'm telling you from experience, it feels good to be that sturdy. All right? And then you also have to identify your boundaries, where you want to be, how you want to show up, and what you're able in truth with your capacity to give, and then how to give yourself rest. And so if you've identified the very pivotal and important things that are aligned with your purpose that you want to give in this life, then you have the opportunity to rest and come into a balance and enjoy what you do choose to give, and who you do choose to give it, and how you do choose. You dig? All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think that's about it. Read the text. Share this message. Other men who catch this in other men's groups, think about it. Use this in the blueprint I'm giving you some things, that could be beneficial. If you feel like you want more support, if you feel like it'd be beneficial for you to journey in a program. I have an 8-week program, and it's good, all right? It's a mastermind. Mastermind. We hear a lot about masterminds, but a true mastermind, you're going to need someone who's intentional, who has the time to put towards the physical and the esoteric, the spiritual, the energetic, the unseen and the seen, strategy, tactics, plan of action, accountability, and really to be able to dial into what your soul, what your body needs for a successful future, and who's willing to hold you in alignment, and also to support you in the process and tell you when you're fucking up, because we want to know, but also come with solutions, all right? And the rest is up to you. So I seem resonant for you. Just know that I'm a serious man, all right? Commitment means a lot to me, and also I can go the distance. So I want you to experience what it feels like to go the distance with someone who's focused on you, who's not cookie cutter, got information to share that will directly pertain to your life. And yes, you're going to have better sex, all right? You're going to have the partner that you desire, and you can even create that within the relationship should you choose. You're going to have a better relationship with yourself, and this is why these things are going to happen. Your life, your experience with the opposite sex, maybe even the same sex, is going to be a lot more magnetic because they're going to feel something really serious inside of you. And it's going to be up to you to honor and to steward the force. You're going to steward that gravitation in a way that's also beneficial for people, and they can feel when you don't have pretense, when you're not seeking to deceive them. And that's important, right? So I want honorable men, noble men who want to work on their character, who are curious, who would like to grow spiritually, who will absolutely grow financially from this, and then also have a lot of clarity on what they want to do with that. Have a good life. Start now. Reach out. If I'm not the one for you, but we have a discovery call. I know a lot of men in this space who I greatly respect. Of course, I will try to help connect you to what you need. Sound good? All right? It's not a dangling carrot thing. I'm serious AF. And also, this is my life work. So if you want to work with me, we'll treat it like your life's work. And if this is really important to you, kick the tires and then buy the car. Let's get in. Let's make it happen. Let's get it done. 8 weeks. A lot of things will change in your life after those 8 weeks. But it takes that commitment. Okay? And you got it in you. Thank you. Have a great day. Less can be more. Put the juju in the work that you do, and you don't have to do as much. Just got to identify what's aligned. Principles, core needs, golden thread. Weave a beautiful experience. Now, start now. Use this information that I spoke to. And look, I'm here, so ask questions. I think I might do a live a day or a live every other day. Maybe at 5:30, something in between that space, or maybe in the morning. Sometimes I'll feel inspired and do 2. Now, less is more, but I can do even more than I'm doing. So right now, this is less, all right? And I'll dial it in. Some of them will be, beneficial for most people's attention span, but this is an opportunity to really receive. Please, take it. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Night. Aloha. Shoots. Thank you for tuning in.